Welcome to a political talk show right here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I'll be taking you through the next 2 hours here on a political talk show with my esteemed executive producer, Ben Demonium Boquest. Thank you, sir, for driving the ship over at Studio 14.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure. It's Word Wednesday, and one of my favorite days because we just talk about words and kind of relate them apolitically to what's going on right now. So thanks for having
me. That's the way we do it. I mean, in honor of the word literally, yes, we do Word Wednesday to make sure that we do not have any more fallen soldiers out there, because words have meanings, and even though people use them for different things and people say them when they're not necessarily that specific thing, they end up changing those meanings, and then we have to come up with new words. So now I don't know what to say literally. Like if I wanted to call something literal, like I can't do it anymore.
It's like saying, oh, height is now height and width.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things that in honor of literally, we like to deep dive into words. As you can see on the YouTube stream, that's youtube.com/@WRMN radio. I am live from the IMS studios. We are getting them to maybe sponsor the show next week. We'll see what we can figure out over here, but I had to teach a workshop about podcasting and just show building in general over here. So those are actually open to the public. So if you ever wanted to learn something or get into media creation yourself and get that vocational education, you're more than welcome to come over to IMS, and that's IMS O'Hare is where I teach at, is the better campus too. So they may convince you to go to the one downtown Chicago. They may convince you to go to some of the other states like Ohio or Florida or Colorado, where they've got multiple places. But O'Hare campus is the best one. And I think the facilities over here are phenomenal, and they're only getting better. And they offer free to the public workshops where you too can learn how to do some podcasting.
Very cool.
So, and I've still got windows in here too. That's the funny part, is I'm waving to people walking past this studio as well. So if you ever check out Studio 14 in downtown Elgin, you'll go ahead and see that Studio 14 is a people tank. And please don't tap on the people tank. We're not lobsters.
Please.
Oh, I want that one. Like as people walk by. But here on A Political Talk Show, we like to deep dive into the words. And today's word is propaganda. We've teased it a little bit through a couple different places that we've talked about in other words. When we talked about democracy, when we've talked about anarchy, when we've talked about the Federal Reserve, when we talked about a lot of different things. Propaganda covers a lot of different stuff. I mean, me talking about a political talk show and saying how great it is and saying you should listen to it, me making posters and everything else are also part of that propaganda machine. I mean, propaganda doesn't always need to mean bad, evil. It's persuasion. It's something that's overly persuasive. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual definition of these things that are here. I'm pulling it up as we speak. And we did it mostly in response to the DOJ charges from Russia Today, which Russia Today is a news organization that is owned by the government. If that doesn't fit a propagandic description, I don't necessarily know what is. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down that word right now. Propaganda refers to the dissemination of information, facts, arguments, rumors, half-truths, or lies. It's information. It's not necessarily truth. It's just information. But its purpose is to influence public opinion. Traditionally is more associated with governments or organizations seeking to promote a particular political cause or point of view. However, in contemporary context, the term can also apply to any form of mass communication, be it advertising, social media, or even journalism that appears to manipulate or bias information to shape public perception. So now we all talk about bias around here, and we try to make sure that Apolitical Talk Show stays as a apolitical platform, that we try as hard as we can not to have the show being biased. Now, the people that are on said show, of course, they're going to have bias. They're people. People have bias to many things. We just make sure that when we do have a counter bias to each other, we come in with that good faith approach, which is why we invite multiple different people from all kinds of the political spectrum over in. And even then, I just got a call today from Madam Chair Pirog, who would like to come back over as well. We took some pictures with her when she came in and did the interview. We also had Dr. Sosnowski on Friday. He doesn't like being called doctor, so I do it often. If you're going to earn the title, I'm going to give it to you, buddy. But but we're talking back and forth to just make sure that that we can maintain a field of unbiasedness. So whether or not propaganda fits into that, you've got it. So now let's talk about the historical context of it. The term propaganda originates from the Latin word propagare, meaning to spread or to propagate, right? I'm going to spread something. I propagate the thing. When sound goes out, sound propagates into the world. And that's what we call it as sonar technicians and people that mess with sound. How is the sound propagating through the ocean is what we talk about. The word began to take on a more specialized meaning in 1622 when Pope Gregory it looks like the 15th possibly, established the Congregation for Propagation of the Faith to spread Catholicism and combat the Protestant reform. This organization was charged with training missionaries and organizing their work to ensure that the Catholic doctrine was spread effectively around the world. Now, there's nothing nefarious about that other than let's talk a little bit more about our faith, right? Everybody goes out, everybody sends missionaries. The Christians specifically are charged to go out and do these things. By the 18th and 19th century, the term began to shed its strict religious connotations and was increasingly used in the political and social arenas. However, it was during World War I that propaganda became a common term in English language, particularly associated with the British government's effort to galvanize support for the war effort through emotionally charged and often misleading material. Right? Let's even say the phrase "the Queen wants you to fight." Well, not specifically you. She wants people to fight. Like even that semantic is where you can jump into it. Loose lips sink ships. Right? It's all about the message that is intended to persuade you to do something. Now, here's the evolution through the 20th century. It's all dramatic expansion in propaganda as a tool, both wartime mobilization and peacetime persuasion. During World War II, both Axis and Allied powers employed sophisticated propaganda techniques to maintain morale, demonize the enemy, and secure public support. For instance, Nazi Germany, under the leadership of Joseph Goebbels, the minister of propaganda, effectively used film, radio, and print to promote its ideologies and dehumanize its adversaries. So we even did the same thing over here: support the troops, right? That right there is a propagandic phrase. Because what does it mean? What does it mean to do that? You see those everywhere. We support the troops. Well, how? What? By putting up a sign? Like it's to that context where it could be vague enough that, like, feed the children, save the rainforest, whatever you want to do. It's uh, in that same propaganda style, because I want you to understand what I am trying to talk about and get to persuade you. The Cold War, 1947 to 1991, marked, and I'd argue it's still going unless we're looking at Cold War II, marked another key era in the development of propaganda. The United States and the Soviet Union engaged in an intense battle of ideologies, utilizing propaganda to win over both domestic and international audiences. The Red Scare, right? We've got all of that type of side to it. I want you to be on my side, so I'm going to scare you with the other people. This period saw a rise in state-run media outlets like Voice of America and Radio Free Europe, which aimed to counter Soviet messaging, as well as Soviet equivalents like Pravda and TASS, which disseminated the Kremlin's viewpoints. So let's stop right there for a second there, Ben, because this is where the news comes in now. And we talk about state-funded media, and there are a few different organizations that get state-funded money here in America. And of course, there are places out there in Russia that do the same thing. And during the Cold War, this is where that separation went of that propaganda. You were either first world, the US and their allies, second world, which was the other layer of Russia and their allies, or you were third world. And that's where that first, second, and third world country phrase comes from. Oh, this is nothing. This is just like a third world country, which is one that wasn't civilized enough to join one of the other two worlds, is really how that came about. So, this is where that propaganda machine was prevalent. First world countries had the British and the American and the European type of propaganda. We are the best, support the troops, Russia's bad, et cetera, et cetera. And Russia had the exact same thing with their allies. So it moved to those two different layers of the propaganda machine that went from there. And then if you weren't sophisticated enough to even have television or anything like that, or even skin in the game to begin with, you were just another exploited country, then you became third world. So that brings us to what we've got today with that, with the Department of Justice and charging Russia today. The U.S. Department of Justice has charged two employees of Russia Today, a Russia state-controlled media outlet, with conspiracy to violate the Foreign Affairs Registration Act, and this will come up later in today's discussion. And they were money laundering. So not only were they breaking the FARA, they were also laundering money to break that FARA. That's usually what ends up happening is one crime that you were doing leads into another one that's there. I robbed the convenience store, but I was speeding on my way out. So they double whammy, right? Um, these two people allegedly directed nearly 10 million to covertly fund and manage a US based content creation company that produced thousands of videos. These videos, many of which were posted on social media platforms like YouTube and TikTok, reportedly contained hidden pro Russian messaging designed to sow division within the United States. The videos addressed various controversial issues such as immigration and inflation, often pushing narratives aligned with Russian interests. The DOJ emphasized that this operation targeted millions of Americans without disclosing the foreign backing of the content. You can find more over at bignewsnetwork.com and also the Justice Department. So that's justice.gov, and their Office of Public Affairs. You can read more about that. The investigation is part of a broader effort by the U.S. government to combat foreign malign influence campaigns, which aim to manipulate public opinion and destabilize democratic societies. So, what this is Russia Today is a state-run news outlet that the state of Russia, the country of Russia, gave to them, and then they used a bunch of different shell companies to get money flowed into a media network that got $10 million. And so now it's a issue of free speech again. Now, by all means, they could donate this money. That's the First Amendment aspect of it. That could be donated. You can put that money up, but you have to register. Now, as far as the money laundering aspect of it, they only money laundered because they didn't want to register. If they just would have turned around and registered and then gave the money, then they wouldn't have to be charged with anything, because that's allowed. It's free speech. You're receiving the money, but they would have to register, and that's where it gets juicy, because people aren't going to trust you if you're getting $10 million from Russia to be a news outlet. So that's where it is back to that trust. And if you don't register, you're not part of it, you're not putting it out there, and you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Russia Today," a Russia Today correspondent. Yeah, they're not going to get as many interviews. They're not going to get as many views out of it. And some reports that I've been seeing, Ben, this $10 million has been over 90% of this entire company's revenue.
Sure.
Not the YouTube videos or anything else themselves, this money being the largest bucket of what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's typically a marker of a kind of authoritarian or fascist government, or definitely, unfortunately, at this point in time, just it is, you could say, as easy as right-leaning. Because in Poland, they had the same problem recently. The administration that just came in and replaced them before had complete control over all the media, the state media, and it was really kind of exactly what you were just explaining. Just completely controlled, edited, censored, and funded by the government. So it's one of those things that it's cyclical, unfortunately. And again, hopefully, us being in the information age, again, we could just kind of work through this and kind of just all agree on common sense propaganda and anti-propaganda measures and standards.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's where you and I especially encourage media, a balanced media diet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to, again, I don't like to say media literacy, because everybody knows how to read. It's like saying you don't know how to eat. Like, no, I know how to put things in my mouth, chew them, and swallow. I know how to do that.
Well, but yeah.
What I don't know how to do is how to stay healthy while I do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat rocks. I don't want to eat like cardboard, like things like that. I can eat those things, but
yeah, well, literacy is to be an etymologist about literacy is kind of like I just blanked. I'm sorry. Literacy. I was thinking about the term etymology, and that triggers me sometimes. I don't know why, but but literacy is kind of like, it explains how much you could actually comprehend and understand. Yeah, literacy in that respect, it's kind of yeah. So like, if sure you're literate, but you only read comic books, that's
exactly
probably going to be an issue.
And that's what I mean. You're absolutely right. But you can comprehend the comic books. Like, you know what I mean? Like
But can
you
you?
can. Well, sure. If you're not literate, you can't.
Yeah.
But the way that you and I like to put it, or I guess it's me now, but but the way that
Yeah.
I like to put it is have a balanced diet. If I only eat at McDonald's, I don't know what quality food tastes like. Right? The only thing I can compare it to is other McDonald's. And go like, oh well, I'll drive across town to that other one over there because it tastes better than the one that was put over here. So if you don't, I guess if you don't expand your taste buds or expand to not necessarily the fringes. I mean, I'm not sucking down squirrels or snails or like biting into a fish in the middle of a pond I just pulled out. Like, yes, that I. Let's just say I don't eat it as extravagantly as Kennedy Jr. Let's just say I don't go to those extremes.
No beached whale on the menu.
Oh my gosh, with a chainsaw and everything else, you can't keep using the word crazy. Like, I got to come up with new words. It's just I got to find them. I need more Word Wednesdays. But this is how you can counteract propaganda. And it's not just like following the trends. It's not just like saying, okay, everybody's talking about this thing. It's what are people saying that are counter to this thing? Now, are they off the rails because it's just out of control? Are you saying something and you're the one that's off the rails? Like, it's not necessarily taking a vote. It's finding the other viewpoints and then where do they really match with your own?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the Foreign Agents Registration Act. That's FARA, F-A-R-A, just before we leave. That was enacted in 1938 to combat Nazi propaganda and spread disinformation. This is what these people are being charged with, is this side of 1938. And we've got the Espionage Act. We've got the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948. And of course, we've got the First Amendment that all of this falls into. I'm allowed to be a person that has a message. What I'm not allowed to be is to wave around my message and not tell everybody who I'm necessarily from and misrepresent who I am as that message. If I say Ben is the absolute greatest person in the entire world, if that's coming from me who works for him, then there may be a little bit of obvious bias that's not so obvious. For more obvious bias that's not so obvious, tune into Apolitical Talk Show. We'll be right back.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Linzette's. King County has made its draft for the 2025 fiscal year budget publicly accessible, inviting residents to scrutinize and understand how their tax dollars might be allocated, totaling $416.7 million. It's a 4% decrease from the previous year. 18-year-old Manny Davis is under arrest after a school resource officer spearheaded an urgent investigation into a threat against Larkin High School. Elgin Police Department, upon verifying the threat's lack of credibility, charged Davis with one count of disorderly conduct, specifically making a threat of violence against a school a Class 4 felony. In an unexpected turn of events, Middle River Power has decided to keep its Elgin Energy Center operational, scrapping earlier plans to close the 540-megawatt gas-fired plant in Illinois. This decision follows a significant surge in capacity prices in the PJM interconnection area, where prices skyrocketed to $270 per megawatt per day. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your #1 customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our #1 customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzi. 18-year-old Manny Davis is under arrest after a school resource officer spearheaded an urgent investigation into a threat against Larkin High School. Elgin Police Department, upon verifying the threat's lack of credibility, charged Davis with one count of disorderly conduct, specifically making a threat of violence against a school a Class 4 felony. In an unexpected turn of events, Middle River Power has decided to keep its Elgin Energy Center operational, scrapping earlier plans to close the 540-megawatt gas-fired plant in Illinois. This decision follows a significant surge in capacity prices in the PJM interconnection area, where prices skyrocketed to $270 per megawatt per day. King County has made its draft for the 2025 fiscal year budget publicly accessible, inviting residents to scrutinize and understand how their tax dollars might be allocated, totaling $416.7 million. It's a 4% decrease from the previous year. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your #1 customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our #1 customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Welcome back to WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. You're listening to a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green, and I am broadcasting live from the Illinois Media School. BeOnAir.com is where you can go to find more information about that. That's BeOnAir.com. I am over at the O'Hare campus, where I just got done talking about podcasting as a workshop. Don't forget, some of these workshops are open to the public, and you're able to check out the studios over here and interact with some students that are already going and some of the teachers and instructors out here. Illinois Media School, part of the Be On Air network. That's beonair.com. Again, my name is Dennis Sonar Green. I am joined, as most of the time, with Ben Demonium Boquest, executive producer extraordinaire, here on A Political Talk Show. It is Word Wednesday, Benjamin, and the word of the day is a juicy one.
Yes.
Propaganda. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I feel like I got to put on my old school radio voice. The propaganda. Hey. Yes,
because I mean, it's been around for so long. I mean, we talked about it being in the early like 1400s, and even then Rome and everything else. But the way you and I understand it is propaganda from the world wars. Right. Like you see those posters, like buy bonds, like the real hard industrial looking ones. Like it's just It's almost like a style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the film with the cigarette burns going across it, the clicking of the reel-to-reel, and
support our troops.
Exactly. Yeah, when really it's it just goes to show like human nature and marketing, and when all that being rolled up into one with governing and everything, along with technology. That's really the story of the world, using our tools and creating new tools, and really using when it comes to media, it used to be just oration, people talking on top of whatever. Think of the ancient Greek philosophers, and
or you take a book or a scroll or something, right? You go out there and town crier.
Yeah, there you go, the town crier, or just campaigns that would go on foot, word of mouth, or exactly, bringing literature and things like that. So it's nothing new. It's just the technology, and you could argue the way that AI has been being implemented nowadays. It's another hurdle for being able to decipher what is and is not factual, and propaganda, all that type of stuff.
It's true. I mean, even to the point where like media literacy came before actual literacy.
Right.
Like you would hear it from a bunch of different people, hear a message from 6 or 7 different people, and disseminate yourself to what you would bring in, aggregate everything that you've got there. So we're gonna just walk through I guess the only way I can describe it is kind of like the propaganda game board now. Because I mean, it's free speech. It's you can say whatever you want to. You're allowed to say whatever you want to. But there are some things that you can't say as a specific job or a specific what have you.
Position,
Position, circumstance prevents you from saying certain things. Now, it doesn't physically prevent you. Like that's a lot of what the First Amendment is about. Is like, I can't restrain you to the point where you can't say anything.
Yeah.
But these are the consequences of you saying the thing. And sure, there's a lot of people who say, well, is that really free speech? Well, are you really free if you got to pay rent? Haha, take that. First Amendment in the United States Constitution is the most significant legal framework governing the use and control of propaganda in the United States. You default back to this. You default back to the First Amendment. When Dean asks me, what do I want over for lunch? And he goes, hey, I'm picking some stuff up. What do you want? I don't say where I'm going, what's going on. I just say, get me the number one. If it wasn't the number one, if it wasn't the best thing, then they wouldn't have put it at number one. So it's the same thing with the U.S. Constitution.
Smart man.
Right? Like, I don't care where you're going, get me a number one.
You don't like to roll the dice? What about
well, no, that's what I mean. That's what I am rolling the dice, is saying, get whatever you want. Just get me the number one wherever you're at.
Unfortunately, you're never getting like the chicken sandwich, because they usually throw that down. That's a tough one.
Of course. But if they go to KFC, then that may be like the number one. Like, that's what I mean. Like, like whatever restaurant you're going to, it's number one. It's the same thing with the U.S. Constitution. We always default back to number one. And that's where a lot of our laws as governing with propaganda start from. Start from that first right of being able to say a thing. I'm able to voice my opinion and be part of that. Now, if I'm in a certain place, let's say I've got a secret clearance. Do you think my First Amendment right goes for secret clearance things? No. That's not my information to give out.
Right. Yeah.
To get my secret clearance, I said I would not say the things that you were going to say. When I swear that I will uphold the Constitution, and I swear that I will perform the duties of the office that I am given, I right there have sliced in to my First Amendment. Nobody gives up their First Amendment right forcibly. Somebody says, if you take this position, if you do this thing, if you voluntarily be this person, then you're not allowed to say the things. You took away your. That's what I mean. You took away your own First Amendment right. When I was in the military, it's the same thing. I put on the uniform. Do I have the physical ability to say whatever I want to in that uniform? Sure, I can put it on. I can drive to the center of town. I can do whatever I want to with it. But because I'm wearing that uniform and I said I will not do that in uniform, I'm now breaking the laws, and the First Amendment was already given up to begin with. So that's the first side of it, Ben, is that we love our amendments. We love them. They're the best amendments. And the first one is the absolute top.
Yeah, no, if we could all hug all the amendments all the time, that's what we'd be away doing right now.
That's the one. I'm thinking about a new series of where we talk about the amendments. We go through and break them down.
I like that.
But we got to wait until after the election.
Yeah.
I think that's what we may end up changing Tuesday to, is Amendment Tuesday.
Yeah, after the propaganda, I mean the election.
Yeah, so let's go to the number 2, right? First Amendment, number 1, still even number 1 as far as free speech and propaganda in general. That's the number 1 thing we always default back to. Here's the second thing that we default back to. They're going to get a little bit more tighter as we come in. This is called the Smith-Mundt Act, also known as the U.S. Information Educational Exchange Act of 1948. It was enacted during the early Cold War to counter foreign propaganda and promote U.S. values abroad. It authorized the U.S. government to engage in, quote, public diplomacy, unquote, activities, including the distribution of information and cultural programming to foreign audiences. This allowed the United States to disseminate propaganda everywhere. This was it. 1948, it is now legal to send out propaganda as the U.S. government, to make things, say things, do stuff, send it out into the world. But, of course, you turn around and you go, well, wait a minute. Now the government's got its own propaganda wing? Yes. 1948. Got it. Done. Here. But it says the Smith-Mundt Act contained a significant restriction. It prohibited the domestic dissemination of materials produced by the U.S. government for foreign audiences. So what it did was the whole act was so that the U.S. government could send pro-U.S. propaganda to foreign people in other countries, people that are not living in the United States. It prohibited them from disseminating that propaganda to foreign people in the United States. So if you are on a green card, if you are here legally but not a full citizen, they aren't allowed to give you pro-United States propaganda, because now you're edging to the point where you are on that edge of actually affecting the American populace. But here we go, of course, like most things we can't have for very long. The modernization, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, Ben, do you know what they allowed the United States to do?
What was it, man?
It was to send propaganda within the United States.
They come on.
They took away the clause. In 2012, they took away the clause, and now the government, the U.S. government, is allowed to push pro-United States. Well, hopefully it's pro-United States. We don't know what it is, but they are now allowed to give. And this is the catch. This is why it's not bad, Ben.
Yep.
It's only to foreigners here in the United States is what the target is. Now, if somebody in the United States happens to read it and happens to see that propaganda, then, you know, it happens. You know, I wasn't targeting that person. I was trying to go out to this person.
Talk about literally, huh? Wow.
Yeah. So that act, the Smith-Mundt Act, if you want to look it up, the first iteration came out in 1948. Second iteration came out in 2012, when they modernized it, right? So now we're going to get into what these two people for Russia Today are being charged with. And this is the third layer. First layer is you're an American citizen, say whatever the heck you want to. We're going to default to that all the time. Heck, you're a person talking about the United States. We're going to default to the First Amendment because that's what we like. Hey, you're a guy who just lives or happened to be in the United States on a Thursday and you wanted to say something. First Amendment all day. Second one is now the government is allowed to put a propaganda machine together. So if you turn around and say, hey, U.S. government, that's propaganda, they go, well, yeah, it's legal for us to put out propaganda. So this is the third one. This is other people's propaganda. The Foreign Agents Registration Act. Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA, F-A-R-A, was enacted in 1938. So 10 years before we got the Smith-Mundt Act. This Foreign Agents Registration Act was to combat Nazi propaganda and the spread of disinformation by foreign actors in the United States. FARA required individuals from organizations acting as, quote, agents of foreign principles, unquote, including governments, political parties, and other entities, to register with the Department of Justice and disclose their activities, finances, and relationships. This is, hey, if you want to disseminate propaganda in our country, if you have your own Smith-Mundt Act, then you've got to register if that's the way that you're going to do it. If you're from a foreign organization, a foreign country, if you aren't an American LLC, 501, whatever organization you've got, even just a group of people saying stuff, those people have the First Amendment right here in the United States. Government organizations and foreign organizations do not. They are not people. They are not entities. They are from an organization. They're foreign things or foreign companies aren't people like corporations are people. So FARA's purpose is to ensure transparency, allowing the American public and policymakers to know when foreign entities are attempting to influence U.S. public opinion and policy. The law does not prohibit propaganda itself, but mandates disclosure of the foreign influence operations. Over the years, FARA has been used to address various forms of foreign propaganda, including media outlets funded by foreign governments and lobbying efforts by foreign entities. Recent updates to FARA enforcement reflect growing concerns about foreign influence in U.S. elections and the spread of disinformation through digital platforms. The Department of Justice has increased its scrutiny of entities that could be engaging in covert foreign propaganda efforts. That's where FARA comes in. So to bring it back to the news, Ben, where it was Russia Today, these people laundered money from Russia Today, laundered money through, they made up a dude. Like they made up a guy that was supposed to be the donator or whatever it was.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only question like they asked of him was he a social justice warrior? Was like the only question. Like read into it. I mean, we don't have the time to go into the entire side of everything, but it is absolutely a great look in the inner workings of how FARA just is there to kind of protect us from some of these things. So before we go, I do want to talk about number 4 because this is something that is also in the news. And we've heard this one before, and this one's even older than the other two. Not as old as the First Amendment. First Amendment, hey, all day, let's do it. This is the Espionage Act. And we've talked about the Espionage Act with different Democratic senators. I think Menendez was charged with this as well. Also registering as a foreign agent, I think. So I think he also got hit with FARA. And then we've all even got presidential candidates who are also charged with the Espionage Act. So there is a lot of detail for this and bringing it through. The Espionage Act of 1917, passed during World War I, was initially intended to prevent interference with military operations and combat enemy espionage. However, it has also been used to prosecute individuals and organizations engaged in propaganda activities considered detrimental to national security. So not only you're persuading the American public, but your propaganda machine and espionage is so big that now you are endangering the national security. So that's the same kind of thing of like where I turn around my secret clearance, right? I've given a secret clearance. I've told everybody I won't tell anybody. That's how I got the secret clearance, and now I'm telling everybody stuff.
Sure, yeah.
That's that's it.
I got secret clearance.
Right? That's it. So I mean,
on the playground.
The biggest issue with that is that's anybody that's there. It's information, it's messaging, it's part of it. So it's moving through that, and that's where I really find some offense with this because I think you and I were the first ones to break that on Monday, where other than Dana Bash, where JD Vance came on and said, hey, if I've got to make up stories for you guys to pay attention to me, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's back to that blatant propaganda that we keep hearing from all of our different, I guess, let's just say leaders in general. And now that we're on the edge of another war, like another war in the Middle East, like you said it yourself. What did we get? 6 months, 7 months? Like, yeah, what the heck, man? Like this is the problem with a lot of what we're doing. And of course, I saved the best word for Word Wednesday till the end, and that is Chomsky. Read some Noam Chomsky. If you don't want to read Noam Chomsky, read 1984. Read anything by Orwell, and you're back to that same propaganda where lies and little tiny things that push the boulder down the hill creates that much larger avalanche. And it takes just little things that we grab onto in that viral moment that takes off is all it takes. And the more and more that they keep pushing little lies that snowball and get bigger and bigger, the more wars that we're going to get into, whether they're domestic or foreign. And that's a lot of what propaganda is a tribalism, is a be with me and my ideas or you're bad. And that's where I think we've got to kind of take a step back and ask, what is this? Who is this message from? And what is this message trying to get me to do? When you know those two things, you can guard yourself from sources that intend harm to you. Oh, well, they made me do it. Well, I saw it here. You hear that all the time. I was just taking orders. Oh, they made me do it, right? It stops at you, where you turn around and go, hey, who is this message from and what do they want me to do? because that's what they're taking it from. We're giving this message as this person. We want them to do this. Propaganda, everybody. But
in depth. Yeah, and it is. It goes to show, people often call out the right now, or I guess just, even if you just look at JD Vance in general, for saying the quiet thing out loud, or like telling on themselves type of thing. And really, at this point in society and politics, it's just so status quo that like it's so mainstream to push the narrative and really make up a story like he said that he did. That it seems like this is what we're doing. Like, this is what we do on a daily basis. So like, I don't get why that's a problem. It's just so normalized right now. And it's not a good excuse. And really, he did just say the quiet thing out loud that what have most of the most famous politicians become after their political careers in our lifetimes? Talking heads for media, right?
Or lobbyists. They go one way or the other. They either get paid responses to go and talk about something, or go around from there. I mean, the biggest thing is we have to watch out for where our messages are coming from. And again, what do they want me to do? Do they want me to vote a certain way? Do they want me to hate a certain person? Do they want me to buy a thing, walk a mile, whatever it is? Think about what that intention is of what they want you to do, and you can pretty much walk backwards if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Check out groundnews.com. You'll be able to grade where your sources at least come from. Great place, Ad Fontes. You're listening to A Political Talk Show right here on WRMN. We'll be right back after the top of the hour.
Hey there, this is Marky B from The First Shift, inviting you to join Brian Anderson for his new radio show, Kane County Speaks, every Thursday from 9 until 10 a.m. during the final hour of my morning show. It's an election year, and Brian will discuss important local issues and interview local candidates from the perspective of Kane County Speaks. The show will feature open phone lines for your thoughts, comments, and questions, and the chat room will be open at WRMN Radio on YouTube. Kane County Speaks is citizen-driven and focused on making Kane County a better place to live and work, with goals of freedom, security, and prosperity for all. To learn more about their grassroots organization, you can check them out at KaneCountySpeaks.com. Let's discuss the issues of Kane County so that you can get involved and make a difference too. It's Kane County Speaks every Thursday morning with Brian Anderson from 9 until 10 a.m. during the first shift, right here on WRMN, AM 1410, and at WRMN Radio on YouTube.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN, AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzi. 18-year-old Manny Davis is under arrest after a school resource officer spearheaded an urgent investigation into a threat against Larkin High School. Elgin Police Department, upon verifying the threat's lack of credibility, charged Davis with 1 count of disorderly conduct, specifically making a threat of violence against a school a Class 4 felony. In an unexpected turn of events, Middle River Power has decided to keep its Elgin Energy Center operational, scrapping earlier plans to close the 540-megawatt gas-fired plant in Illinois. This decision follows a significant surge in capacity prices in the PJM interconnection area, where prices skyrocketed to $270 per megawatt per day. Kane County has made its draft for the 2025 fiscal year budget publicly accessible, inviting residents to scrutinize and understand how their tax dollars might be allocated, totaling $416.7 million. It's a 4% decrease from the previous year. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your number one customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our number one customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Belux Bar and Grill, Wisconsin Dells, is the quintessential American grill and bar, with refined rustic cuisine and award-winning libations. Their honest, feel-good food menu is complemented by a beer list to satisfy every taste. Classic cocktails and our signature shakes, rich and creamy with a splash of boozy goodness just to shake things up a little bit. Belux Grill and Bar, classic American cuisine with a contemporary twist.
Roll into Bolero in Algonquin or Roselle and wake up with a story to tell. Bolero is bowling, gaming, dining, and nightlife with a twist. Score a sweet deal every day of the week and save big by checking out the daily deals online. Team up with your friends and hit the lanes by forming your own social club. Clubs offer lively competition and laid-back fun for everyone. From beginners to pros, make new friends, bowl, and hang out at a happening place. Visit Bolero.com.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Road game for the Bears this Sunday. They take on the Colts in Indianapolis. Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, no surprise, bruised up after suffering through 7 sacks on Sunday against the Texans. The Cubs came up short at Wrigley Field on Tuesday. It was a 4-3 setback against Oakland. Jordan Wicks suffered the loss. He went 5 innings and allowed 4 runs on 7 hits. The Cubs remain 6 games out of a wild card in the National League with time running out. The White Sox had their 3-game winning streak snapped last night. It was a 5-0 shutout loss against the Angels in Anaheim. Angels starter Griffin Canning went 6 innings. He struck out 6 and allowed 3 hits. The Sox dropped to 36 and 116. That's just 4 losses away from tying the Major League record of 120 losses in a season. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/TC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the Better Business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org. Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Pro tip, the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better, check with the BBB first because better businesses are honest and commit to high ethical standards bureau. That's why they're better. Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Welcome to a political talk show right here on WRMN AM. That's WRMN1410.com, where you can listen live with the audio side. You can also watch live from that same location. Just click on the YouTube link. We are live on YouTube, unless you're listening to a replay, but we are live currently right now, 7 minutes after the top of the hour here. We are walking through a Word Wednesday. The word was propaganda. If you ever want to listen to the first half of our show, we make sure that we put at least something up there on the Apolitical Talk Show podcasting side, whether it is that interview that we usually schedule from News Nation, or if it is our topic of the day, or an interview that we get from one of the local candidates or the movers and shakers here in the Fox River Valley. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I'm the host of Apolitical Talk Show, and joining me today, as most days, is executive producer extraordinaire Ben Demonium Boquest. Thank you, sir, for being here with me.
Yeah, minded my P's and Q's as usual.
I appreciate that on the ones and twos, while I am over at the Illinois Media School. That's beonair.com if you want to check it out. I am at the IMS campus in O'Hare, right off of 90. I mean, I get right off, man, and then boom, I'm here at the school. Real easy to get to.
Gotta love those expressways, man.
Why am I here? Well, I was teaching a workshop, and those workshops are open to the public quite often. You can go ahead and find more information at beonair.com to find more information about the Be On Air Media Network of schools, where you can learn about how to get on the microphone, just like we do here, or learn how to film things. It's a great education. It is a vocational side of everything. A lot of people talk about electricians or carpenters or welders. Those are great professions. They also have great vocational schools for those vocations. In media, we are also a vocation. We are also a school. Like it's one of those things, right? Is there's enough YouTube videos, there's enough how to do it books that I could learn how to remodel my bathroom. I could. Is it going to be more expensive? Is it going to be a lot harder? And will I actually have to do it? Yeah. Those are all negatives on why I don't want to learn how to remodel a bathroom. But there are people that's their job, remodeling bathrooms. So if you look at a media professional as a contractor to make your media appearance, WRMN can help you with that. But if you'd like to learn how to do that, that would be, of course, Be On Air Media Network. You can go to beonair.com and find the school closest to you, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be your instructor, right? If you didn't hear enough of me Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you could spend another couple hours with me learning how to do what Ben and I do smoothly, I think is the best way I can put it, Ben. Smooth, like butter.
Yeah. Huh? Smooth. All the time.
That's there. We just got off talking about the word of the day, propaganda. Of course, we love our First Amendment. We love doing everything from that side. We love the exchange of ideas. I mean, even then, I am susceptible to propaganda because we all listen to it. We all do it. We are all part of it, especially us in media there. Now, where does that propaganda come from? What is the propaganda trying to get you to do? It's become such a synonymous word with just mass media in general. And arguably, it's moved into this format that Ben and I have been playing in for a while, of this multiple format type of thing, where it is not only just the audio show, it's the video show, it's the posters, it's the social media clips, it's the performing in front of somebody. It is all of these different mediums in this mass media format is where media is changing, where you can see your radio. Right? We talked about how weird it would be back in the day of video phones, right? We're like the magic of video phones. I think there was even a Simpsons where they fast forward into the future and Marge was doing all kinds of things with like the video phone. She like opened up a thing and a birthday cake came out and it was like things have gotten much better since scientists invented discovered magic. Like
the I am watching you through a camera. That's where that quote goes from. Which is really we're delving into the NSA and all that fun stuff, the Patriot Act. Maybe we should just t-ball off of that.
Because, I mean, this is the thing. This is why Ben and I do what we do, especially if you want to listen to the great show we had on Monday. Because we went through, on Monetary Monday, we went through the money in politics. So now we're talking about the propaganda in our media. So we all know these things exist. We all know that there is corruption. We all know that there is mass media that sends things out to us. But how do they do it? What do they do? Like, take it beyond the feeling. Take it beyond the idea, the comprehension, the I don't know, the pieces of an idea, and let's put them all together into the facts that are there. You're not a conspiracy theorist if you have their own words that they have said, if you have their own laws that they have created. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's not a calling somebody a name. That is objective, scientific, political investigation. And that's where I think we've fallen into this propaganda machine of it's so much nicer to hear our politics not as a school lesson. And I get so much crap about that, of just like, you sound too much like an instructor. You sound too much like a teacher. Why am I learning things on your show? Like it's to that point where it's like, we lost that. We lost the numbers. We've lost this many people are affected by this legislation. We've lost that. We've become that's going to destroy America. Like,
yeah, it's all rhetoric all the time. Never learn or look over any of the details that led us here. It's all just kind of sensational. It's kind of like how we talk about people don't read much after high school. There's a certain percentage of people who don't pick up a book after high school. And then of the people who do pick up a book, how many of those people do you think are reading nonfiction?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts. I'm sorry. It hurts to learn. I don't know if you remember being a kid and constantly warping your mind to, oh my gosh, I didn't know that thing existed. Oh my gosh, that thing over there is what happened? Like, it's just constant, just changing your worldview. That when your brain is elastic, that's fun. That may be a bit more to it. But once we start getting into our old age, once we have to start physically manifesting these neurons again of like, oh, no, wait, I already learned that thing over here. I got to change what I learned. They've talked about, there are studies out there, and I have to pull one. I got to keep one in my back pocket because they've studied this to where when you are confronted with a counter idea or information that counters your idea, it's a painful process. The same centers of your brain light up as if I kicked you in the shin. And I get it, but so is working out. If I want stronger muscles, if I want to be a healthier person, there's sacrifice to that. And if me sacrificing a little bit of my brain power to readjust my worldview to what is the facts, then I'll gladly take it. Now, people want to be part of that, Ben. They like their comfortable shoes. but are they getting you anywhere?
Nah. Gotta get off the escalator or on the moving walkway, and you gotta walk on the moving walkway.
That's true. It doubles the speed.
Yep. Yeah, walking down an escalator, walking up it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it. It's like it's like reading nonfiction.
It's there. So I want to catch up on a little bit of these here. We will open the phone lines. It is 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and jump into phone lines and headlines. 847-931-1410, 847-931-1410. If you want to go ahead and give us a text, jump into that text line, 505-926-1410. And we will go ahead and see you on that thing over there. All the rest of the stuff should be on that one sheet sitting over there. Don't forget to check out WRMN1410.com for our new weekday lineup. All the good things that are coming down through there. So one of the phone lines and headlines that I want to jump into today, Ben, is this crazy pipeline, bro.
Yeah.
What is happening?
It's insane.
I just heard about it this morning. I don't know if I was out of the loop. There was nobody talking about this.
Right. It was a little underreported. I think that and the RFK whale news was what we focused on yesterday a little bit. And didn't hear too much about it. And it's the old situation where there was so much natural gas in the pipes that exploded that it's still burning off. So that's all that natural gas in there.
So they've shut it off at least. They've got a point where they can shut it off.
Yeah, the valve was closed almost immediately.
So you're telling me there's so much in between these closed valves that it's still burning just what's in that long pipe?
Yep.
Come on, man. Let's put some more check valves into these things.
Like that. A great point. It reminds me of there's this area, I believe it's in Morocco, where it's just a natural gas crater, and someone thought it would be a good idea to, I guess, light it on fire about 20 years ago, and it's still going.
Yep, they got nowhere else to go. It's just going to keep feeding. You can't put it out. It's constant fuel. So the way there's a fire. Have you ever heard of the fire tetrahedron? So it's instead of the fire triangle where it's fuel, oxygen, heat. They've added an extra leg, and that extra leg is chemical reaction.
Yeah.
So if you interrupt one of those things, you either take a fire so cold that it can't do anything, you suffocate it, or you interrupt the chemical action, or you remove its fuel. Well, with this, you can't remove the fuel. It's you shut it off. But they should have these check valves, man. That's the thing that's crazy for me is who shut this thing off? And I guess they did. But there's so much in there that it burns for so long. It's like if you got a leaky faucet and it's flooding your entire house, you've got to go 6 blocks down the road and go through a manhole cover and turn off a valve under the street because your faucet is leaking.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent to what you're doing right here. And then after you turn it off, all of that water still has to drain into your kitchen before you're able to turn the valve back on or even work on this thing. I don't, what is going on, Texas? Come on now.
Yeah, and that's what they do. That's their whole kind of industry out there, is gas, and it's kind of central to their economy out there. So you would hope that they that this type of thing would be easier mitigated, but here we are. Do you have any more details on that story?
So the only thing I've got here is from Reuters, and they updated it a little bit ago, but they said for the most part, when it blew up on Monday, that it was oh, well, it'll burn until maybe Tuesday afternoon or Monday afternoon. And from what I know, it's still going. I haven't seen reports of it coming back. The fire occurred on a valve station on a 20-inch. That's a big monster, bro. That's
20 inches. Dubs rolling on dubs.
You can Shawshank your way through that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's about that size, I would say.
Pipeline used to carry NGLs, according to the Energy Transfer. NGLs can be used as inputs for petrochemical plants or burned for space heating and cooking, among other uses. The natural gas line, right? Law enforcement agencies have initiated an investigation into the cause of the incident. Texas Railroad Commission, RRC, which regulates the state's oil and gas industry, said its inspectors were on the site of the incident and will begin their investigation once emergency officials have been on the scene. So they changed the name for the LLC, or they removed the the NGL, or the LNG pipeline for it. But as far as I know, I have not seen right here. Let's see what Houston. Here we go. Houston, KHOU 11. Centered bias comes in from over 200 sources. This is directly from let's see here. Yeah, this is directly from KHOU 11. They wrote this article in Deer Park, Texas. Just came out a little bit ago. Texas flames continue to shoot from a pipeline in Deer Park 2 days after it ignited. The city of Deer Park said crews worked through the night on the fire, and that it's smaller than it was on Monday. On Monday, it was so big you could see it 10 miles away.
Wow.
10 miles.
Jeez.
The fire started just before 10 a.m. Monday at Spencer Highway near East Boulevard. I love local things because they put exactly where.
Right, yeah, right by the Dairy Queen or whatever.
Near the Brook Glen neighborhood. Right. On Monday evening, the city of Deer Park confirmed the fire was caused by an SUV crashing through the fence of a nearby Walmart and hitting an above ground valve. The police haven't confirmed the identity of that driver or said whether they survived the crash or where they are now.
You want
was this guy just incinerated?
Right. Well, I read an article yesterday in which they alluded that the car was incinerated. So I'm not sure if, what information they even have on that. It makes you wish for a little bit of that, the sunset law over there, their sunshine law.
Well, and why? The other thing is why at that station isn't there a cutoff?
Sure.
You would imagine that even at the stations themselves. Okay. Fine, it's not that station. He blew up the valve that it was at that station. That's the valve that the SUV ran into. Okay, why don't the next two stations have valves that they can shut off? It's just it just boggles my mind of the safety regulations with some of this stuff. You know what it is? It's because rail is in charge of it. Not a whole new division of gas and power or whatever else. In most of these places, rail, the division of rail and things like that are the ones that are in charge of moving a lot of this stuff.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Straight from coal.
I'll have to look up the exact side of it. But it's back to that coal and energy side. Back to it of the transportation, the OG transportation,
Phineas Gage,
the Rockefellers,
all that.
So here they've got. I'm not going to give you the road closings, which again is why I absolutely love local agencies. KHOU Houston, if you want to check them out, they're keeping up with it. In release Tuesday afternoon, Deer Park officials said Harris County Hazmat and Deer Park Volunteer Fire Department were preparing to enter homes in the East Meadow area. Hazmat will enter homes to conduct air quality monitoring once it is deemed safe. The DPVFD, which is the Deer Park Volunteer Fire Department, will enter the neighborhood to conduct an initial search of the homes, then proceed with a secondary and more thorough search of the homes, according to the officials. So, all kinds of different things. Let's see here. Center Park is working to secure the distribution lines running east to west on Spencer Highway to ensure the lines are according to Hidalgo. Quote, my team and I continue to be ongoing contact with first responders at the scene of the fire and help with any additional necessary resources. Currently, the fire is still burning, but the good news is that the pressure within the pipeline is continuously dropping, which means we are getting closer to the fire going out. That is from Energy Transfer. So there are some people still in Deer Park that do not have service because of this, and more than likely won't have service for a while. I don't know if they're trying to, it seems like they're trying to reroute it, but I don't think they can even start to reroute anything until they know that the source is taken out.
Yeah.
So then they don't have to worry about it.
I'd imagine they'd have to get like some type of natural gas pipeline Q-tip or, roto-rooter type of thing. At least get a camera down there and see that stuff. So yeah, and that's all older infrastructure. So who knows if they'll have to completely replace it. That'll be something they'll definitely have to determine. So
Here's from Energy Transfer. This is their statement themselves. The fire continues to burn itself out, which is the safest way to manage the incident. Air quality monitoring continues to show no impact to air quality. Impacted landowners are being taken care of and have been provided lodging at area hotels. This will continue until evacuation orders are lifted. Law enforcement agencies have initiated an investigation into the cause of the incident. We continue to work closely with local authorities to safely manage the response and cooperate in the investigation. We want to thank all of the emergency response teams for their ongoing efforts to safely manage the response to this incident. Any impacted homeowner still needing assistance can call 855-430-4491. You'll be asked to provide your name, phone number, and address, and what assistance you are needing. We will provide updates as new information becomes available. More news on the way and more updates on the great balls of fire that are happening all around the world.
Yes.
You're listening to Apolitical Talk Show right here on WRMN and broadcasting live from the Illinois Media School right here on WRMN 1410. We'll be right back after this.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Linzette's. King County has made its draft for the 2025 fiscal year budget publicly accessible, inviting residents to scrutinize and understand how their tax dollars might be allocated, totaling $416.7 million. It's a 4% decrease from the previous year. 18-year-old Manny Davis is under arrest after a school resource officer spearheaded an urgent investigation into a threat against Larkin High School. Elgin Police Department, upon verifying the threat's lack of credibility, charged Davis with one count of disorderly conduct, specifically making a threat of violence against a school a Class 4 felony. In an unexpected turn of events, Middle River Power has decided to keep its Elgin Energy Center operational, scrapping earlier plans to close the 540-megawatt gas-fired plant in Illinois. This decision follows a significant surge in capacity prices in the PJM interconnection area, where prices skyrocketed to $270 per megawatt per day. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your number one customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our number one customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Linzette's. In an unexpected turn of events, Middle River Power has decided to keep its Elgin Energy Center operational, scrapping earlier plans to close the 540-megawatt gas-fired plant in Illinois. This decision follows a significant surge in capacity prices in the PJM interconnection area, where prices skyrocketed to $270 per megawatt per day. Kane County has made its draft for the 2025 fiscal year budget publicly accessible, inviting residents to scrutinize and understand how their tax dollars might be allocated, totaling $416.7 million. It's a 4% decrease from the previous year. 18-year-old Manny Davis is under arrest after a school resource officer spearheaded an urgent investigation into a threat against Larkin High School. Elgin Police Department, upon verifying the threat's lack of credibility, charged Davis with 1 count of disorderly conduct, specifically making a threat of violence against the school a Class 4 felony. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your #1 customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our #1 customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
To a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410 AM and of course WRMN1410.com. We welcome you into a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. We'll be finishing up this last hour with you all the way up to the top at 6 o'clock. We started the show at 4, but before that is the beginning of Fox Valley Afternoons with Talk Time with Tammy and Friends, which is a really, really good show as well for your drive time afternoons. I liken it to a drive time show that you can listen to with the kids. It's a really good way to pass the time. Or you remember sitting on the bus? Were you a bus kid, Ben?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Back of the bus, always.
So that's where like part of my love for radio came from too, is just like traveling and bringing people together and it's all listening to the same kind of thing so that we can all go to the water cooler and say, hey, you know what I heard on that show this morning? Like that, obviously not in school, you got the water cooler, but sure.
Yeah. It's perfect road trip radio is how I describe it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to listen to it. So we are going over some headlines, but we've got our phone lines open. If there was a headline that you would like to discuss or you want some insight on a few things. One of the things that is coming up, of course, man, is this Federal Reserve. We've got a meeting that is coming up, and some yo-yo action going on.
Had to show it off.
There it is. The yo-yo we were speaking about on Monday.
Never far from reach for me.
That's true.
I got to say, I've closed the gap on my yo-yo. It's like riding a bicycle. It's like riding a yo-yo.
You got back up to it?
I'm one with the yo-yo now. Yes.
Oh, I think it was originally made as a weapon.
Right? Yeah. What do they call those things?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look
like
it up.
a sling or a mace or something.
There was this one movie that was really cool, and it was this guy. It was like an old ninja movie, and there's this old weapon where they would like throw this thing, and it was connected to a rope, and it would just spin and like land on someone's head, and then kind of just get them. That would be like it would trap them in it, and yeah. So that's the weapon that comes to mind with it, but just a yo-yo here. That's really cool. I'm gonna actually look that movie up. I've been trying to watch a little more off the beaten path movies lately in preparation for Halloween. That's a good one. Let me see if I could remember the name of that one here. But yeah, not necessarily on theme with propaganda or the Federal Reserve yo-yoing. That's why I brought the yo-yo out, because of inflation. We always talk about inflation.
Oh, that and propaganda too, because you got a logo on the side of that thing.
Oh yeah, true that.
Who gave you that?
Free advertisement for OGs, OGEEZ.
Okay.
So yeah, cool people. We have a phone caller though. We have Dutchman.
We do. Okay, let's
Dutchman,
hop
and
in,
then someone up right after that. So
yeah,
hang on the
we'll
line.
We'll hold off on the Federal Reserve stuff. So go ahead.
Hang on the line, and Dutchman, you're on now.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, man.
Were you talking about the yo-yo or the what the heck is that? Slinky.
Okay.
The Slinky, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think the Slinky is much of a weapon.
I still have one.
A Slinky? Or
I got yo-yos. Yeah, I can make yo-yos left and right with on the lathe, so that's not a big deal. But I mean, I still have a Slinky. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hack-a-sack. There's another one. Hack-a-sack.
Those are great. Yeah, I should get one of those.
You know how to hack there, buddy? You a sacker?
Yeah, way back. We used to do that in fire camp. Believe it or not.
Nice.
When we were off duty, we would be in fire camp, and we had some free time. We'd be out there playing. There'd be about 10 of us out there playing hack-a-sack.
Yeah, we would do it on the ship, on the back of the ship while we were out to sea. And when somebody boots that thing, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
We had one guy that got so mad about us doing it on the back of the ship because we only had like, I don't know, maybe as big as like maybe like a helicopter launch pad or so to really hang out in there. And because we were kicking it around and taking up a bunch of the space, somebody walked right through the circle, grabbed it and threw it overboard and said, "Get back to work."
Oh, great.
I know.
It knocked him in the head or something, you know.
I know. Then you got to wait till you get back to port before you can get another one.
The fun police. There's always one.
Always
Oh,
one.
yeah.
What would you like to talk about, Dutchman?
No. I mean, you earlier talking about that pipeline thing. You, as a fire department guy, you can't really. There isn't too much you can do, and it doesn't do you any good to put any kind of water or any kind of foam or anything in there because it just keeps blowing out. Now there's this movie out, John Wayne movie way back in the late 60s, early 70s about the firefighters that do put out oil wells fires, and it's kind of modeled after a guy that actually did it, and his name is Wrmn. Wrmn and his company were known for going around the world putting out oil fires. And most of the time when you do stuff like that, high pressure, you can't do much about it until the thing burns itself out.
Yep. Because that's part of the fire tetrahedron, right? If you hit one of those corners, it goes out.
Yeah. It's weird how they're set up. You can't really do too much. There's a lot of stuff that you can't do. You got to stand back and let it take. You can't put water on certain things because it just makes things worse. That's the biggest problem people have in a house. And if it has a house fire, a grease fire, you add water to it and you're screwed.
Grease fire is a class Bravo fire, so it's oil based. So it's the oil that's actually on fire, not the things that are around it. And then, of course, the oil catches the the class alphas on fire. Alpha is A for ash. It's things that burn and turn into ash, and oil is more of like a black soot or something that comes off from that side. So if you splash that water into burning oil, water and oil don't mix. So you just splashed little flaming droplets all over. You might as well have just napalmed your own kitchen.
Crazy. Yeah, it's like if you've ever worked in a kitchen, sometimes the cooks will have fun and throw ice cubes in the fryer, and that reaction will just kind of, at least who's ever working fry side, that's a little prank.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing, though. I had to throw my 10 cents on a safety guy, okay, because I do it with my shop, too. I'm down in the basement, and I accumulate a lot of sawdust, so I have to be really careful what I do, and I don't blow my house up. But the big thing is you always want to have a fire extinguisher around. Now, there's several different kinds depending on how you use it, what you're doing. In the garage, you want one type. In the kitchen, you want another type. And then when you're working around wood, there's the standard type. So there's like 3 different kinds. There's one that actually you can use one kind for 2 things. It'll say on the fire extinguishers. But like the biggest thing that people forget about, if you an amateur woodworker or just somebody doing stain and work on their house, worst thing you could do is have oily rags or rags with kind of, any kind of paint stuff on it laying around, because it is spontaneous combustion and it will happen. So what I tell people is spend some money, spend 10, 15, 20 bucks, get a metal can that with a steel lid on it. It's like a metal trash can, except it's not very big. It's, portable, real small size. You want it airtight. And you put your rags in there, and then when the trash comes that day, you take it out of there and put it in there. But that'll keep you safe that way. You don't have to worry. And it will spontaneously combust. Laying stuff like that laying around is like the same thing with oil rags or any kind of oil stuff in your garage. So...
Yeah, you don't want any part of that either. So let's talk about that natural gas leak. I mean, are they handling it the same way that you would handle it if I had a gas leak or a flame shooting out of my stove? Go and shut it off and wait for the stove to go?
The pressure isn't there. I mean,
okay, but you just shut it off,
right? You have a leak. Yeah, there's shut-offs on your stove. There's shut-offs outside the house. You just shut the gas off, the main off inside the house. But that, I've never seen a stove do that. And you can't, if you get something out of ordinary with the stove, it's usually something else causing it other than the gas. And then most people just shut the valves off, the knobs off to the gas. It won't come in. Now, if you do something like, now this is earthquake stuff. Okay, I'll give you an idea because I grew up with earthquake country. Earthquakes, if it was big enough, like I went through one in this is before you guys, 1971, the Silmar earthquake. People's appliances were just bouncing all over the kitchen, all over the house, whatever. They're pulling away from the wall. And if they had fire coming out, most people would run outside and shut the valve off to the side of the house, and that's usually what the problem was. There were times where they had lower pressure gas mains break that were in the street or went through somebody's yards. That's a different story. That big one you're talking about, then there's a valve. It's kind of like the main that goes and shuts the water to all the fire hydrants off. Very high pressure, and you can't do anything with it. You could actually, I mean, I've seen one break and not catch on fire, and it's whistling.
Yeah, there's no spark.
And static electricity will set it off, so you don't want to be around that. It's like a gas cloud and kaboom. So, yeah, and there's a lot of stuff. The fire departments, I always like it when the local fire departments come out every once in a while and do a safety thing, public safety thing, showing people about how things work, what to do and what not to do. They always do it like during Christmas time with the Christmas lights and the deep fryers. That's a big thing. People just don't understand deep fryers. And it's like you were saying, throwing ice cubes in that. Yeah, the one thing you don't want to do is put something really cold into something real hot, and you want to see it go all over the place. It ain't happening. It's just, it'll make a mess. And it could go boom, boom.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you, Dutchman, for jumping in on the fire safety stuff. We're going to get to the other phone call, but we appreciate you listening, buddy.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be there.
Awesome, dude.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, have a good one, Dutchman.
Bye.
All right, the Dutchman.
No, and that's where it is. Fire safety, man, is like I tell my kids, it's nothing to be afraid of for fire. It's like any other tool or something else, but you have to know what its capabilities are. Like, same thing when you walk around with a kitchen knife. I need to cut things, but the fire doesn't know that it's not supposed to burn my house.
Yeah.
That I only want it to cook my food, just like a knife doesn't know that it's not supposed to stab stuff.
Anthropomorphize. There it is. You don't want that. And ignorance is never the answer.
No. Be careful. Is anybody else? I thought you said we had another.
Yes, there's another caller. Are you still there, caller?
Yep.
Derica.
Hey,
know that
Derica,
voice.
how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, we used the word Wednesday today was propaganda. Do you know any fun propaganda that the Australian government has done? Is there been like don't eat a wallaby or make sure you drive on the right side of the road? But what's one of the fun government programs or government media or something that you've had?
Hang on a minute.
That's interesting.
Oh, can I ring you back? I've got home communion here.
Sure. Well, we'll talk to you.
I'll ring you back in a couple of minutes.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
It's okay.
Talk with you soon, Derek.
No. It's busy on that other quadrosphere as well.
I would think, just off the top of my head, there would be some type of Crocodile Dundee propaganda. I mean, if that's not real, that might just be propaganda. The Australian,
it could be the movie.
That is.
The movie.
We were talking about that, and it was worldwide.
Yeah, we've got about 7 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve as it comes in, because that's going to be the biggest news, and more than likely, it's something that we'll probably dive into tomorrow. But what's happening is on today, the Federal Reserve reduced its benchmark rate by 0.5 percentage point, signaling a major pivot from its previous focus on fighting inflation. The decision comes after inflation dropped to a manageable 2.5%. Now, their goal was under 2, right, is what their goal was. But what's happening is that you have to have some sort of economic growth as far as the working aspect of things. So we're in now this non-conventional economy where it is people living paycheck to paycheck as far as the working force goes, but the people that have stocks, the people that own property, the people that own things are making more money. Now, whatever you want to blame that on, whatever reasoning of how we got here, this is what's happening. So you can blame or you can find reason behind it, but that's the state of everything, which is why Don Jr. is on the radio telling everybody to buy gold and not believe the inflation numbers. Because you're right, they don't tell the whole story. They tell you the overall inflation numbers, not necessarily housing and groceries and everything else. So the cost of living has gone up more than just the standard inflationary rate. So what's happening is there needs to be more investment into the bottom small businesses. Well, small businesses are the ones that really care about the interest rate. If I'm Boeing or if I'm any of these other people that constantly borrow money back and forth anyway, my bank is already going to give me a good interest rate regardless, because I'm Boeing or I'm Amazon or I'm Apple or Disney or whatever else. I'm already going to get below a consumer rate anyway. So them lowering this rate is then putting kind of a stop on savings growth, because that rate also goes towards savings. So people who have put money away will start to see that not grow as much. It'll still grow. That's the way that interest works. It'll still grow, whether for you or against you. It still works that way. So what they're hoping is dropping it down by this half, and then before the end of 24, they want to drop it another half. And then that way we're back to, I don't necessarily know where that number is going to end up for it, but they're trying to walk back that increase that they did so many other times over the last 4 years. Like obviously during Trump's administration, they lowered it because Trump was constantly on the airwaves yelling at Powell and saying, you need to lower the interest rate. We need to have more business. We need to do all. So borrowing was a lot cheaper. And this was the mistake that they made in 2008, where they let a whole bunch of people borrow. It's okay if you let a whole bunch of people borrow and they can afford it under that interest rate. So now we're going to start to see that rise. And what they did was a lot of people locked in that interest rate instead of being in a floating or a variable interest rate that's based off of Powell deciding, him and the board at the Federal Reserve deciding when we should all be able to borrow money. So what's going to end up happening is if they lower the interest rate, more people are going to be able to buy homes, and more businesses are going to be able to borrow money at that lower rate. And what they're hoping for is that will start to bulge in the middle a little bit more, and then help the overall economy like it traditionally should. So whether or not you want to blame trickle-down economics or the previous legislation or the tax code or whatever it is, what's happening right now is the big people who are big are getting big and staying big, and people who are small are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking more and more every single day. Inflation is a poor tax, because if I'm a rich person, my money isn't in cash. I don't have it and put it into the mattress. I diversify it. I put it into property, whether that property is real estate property, fine art, gold, whatever it is. I don't keep my money in cash, because cash is volatile and is susceptible to, guess what? Inflation. Me as a person, or a average American, 60% or more, who's living paycheck to paycheck, that is a tax on them, because their dollar is diminishing and they have not diversified away from the dollar. I don't have gold coins that I can then break up that will go against the dollar. If the dollar goes up, so if the dollar loses its value, gold goes up, housing goes up, food goes up, right? And if I own the other things that are not cash, then I'm not affected adversely to inflation. So that's just economics 101 as we walk through some of this. So I am excited to move this through and see what's happening over here. And in other news, before we leave on this amazing day, I've got a quote from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Right after an endorsement of President Trump, I received a letter from the National Marine Fisheries Institute saying they were investigating me for collecting a whale specimen 20 years ago. Ben,
to put it nicely,
how did he collect this specimen?
This is actually what we started the story out with, the show out with yesterday, and it actually spotlight got shined on this exact collecting of a specimen. It was from a 2012 interview that his daughter Kik did, and tells a story. She recounted a story of them being on a beach in, I believe, upstate New York or Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, yeah.
Yeah, Massachusetts. And basically seeing a washed up whale, a beached whale. And he gleefully went down with a chainsaw and collected the specimen, beheading the whale to, I suppose, mount somewhere. Like what?
This is like the bear story. I just happened upon a dead bear and decided I wanted to put it in my trunk. Like,
yeah. It's the funniest reaction that I talked to you earlier about the show about this story. I was just like, did you hear the RFK whale story? And you just kind of like shook your head like, no. Like, I know it's not going to be good though, is it? So character flaw. That movie I was talking about, I looked it up. Ninja Masters of the Flying Guillotine. Was the movie I was checking out. Real cool ninja movie. If you're into that, it's dubbed in English if you can handle that, or subtitled. So.
Okay, that ain't so bad. What I don't like is when the dub and the subtitles don't match.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that's frustrating.
That's rough.
But anyway, a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410. We'll be back tomorrow. You can listen again on WRMN1410.com. Why don't you mix it up a little bit? Maybe AM on one day, YouTube on another, the website on another day. You know, as long as you're listening to WRMN frequently, you'll get all of your information. We'll see you tomorrow on A Political Talk Show.
Bender Dental Care, located at 217 North McLean Boulevard in Elgin. Bender Dental wants everyone to be informed.